go after this stuff, what makes it worth it? It's got to be your passion. You got to love it, ladies and gentlemen. You got to love it. It's got to be what you are supposed to do. You want to sing, and even though they won't invite you to Carnegie Hall, you're going to sing to anybody that listens to you, including singing to yourself. I used to talk to my plants when nobody else would listen to me. You got to write, even if no one published your book, write, because that was given to you to do. You do what it is you're supposed to. You're supposed to build something. You're supposed to create something. I don't know how to do it. Learn. No, it's hard. Yes, it's hard. It's difficult. Yes, right. And it's worth it.
Oh, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Angel Road Outdoors, the podcast, episode 17, just Bret tonight. You know, traditionally, I will turn off the space heater down here in my frigid basement, but my toes are cold, so the heater stays tonight. This is a garbage podcast anyway. I don't know. You know what? Fuck that. I believe I've started my last two podcasts by saying, you know what? Fuck that. But honestly, I set out to put out a podcast once a week, at least one podcast every single week for this calendar year 2024, and I almost missed this week out of sheer procrastination, and I'm not going to let a little space heater tarnish my good name. So I say to you, good evening, fellow citizens. I am here tonight to record a podcast all by myself because I procrastinated so long that I couldn't get anybody scheduled to record a podcast with me this week. And I'm fixing to go away for work tomorrow, and I'm going to be gone most of the week, so I'm going to have a really hard time getting anybody to record with me next week. I got a couple of irons in the fire, but since I finally decided, I guess it was last night, but made it official. I made it podcast official just now. My season is over. I put everything away today. And a lot of you may say, Bret, the season was over December 31st or January 1st. And I say to you, nay. In my area, I had an extended urban archery season. And I have mentioned that on here. And I had hunted it once. I had scouted it thrice. And had great intentions to hunt it more, but got whatever has been going around, and so many of whatever illness has been making its way through the Midwest in the United States of America. Some sort of a respiratory infection that put me down, bro. It put me down. And then any day that I felt like I was probably strong enough to go out into the woods, it was maybe -4. And I thought, well, that's okay. I can bundle up. But then I had this nagging cough, and I thought, man, I'm going to go out there. And fun fact about me, I always have to pee right at first light and last light. And so if I already have to pee at first and last light, I'll probably have that, and then couple it with this random sudden hacking cough, undoubtedly at first and or last light. So I chose to take that week off, and then the following week, right after that, my wife's brother-in-law died suddenly at work. Like, not my brother, but her brother-in-law. So no relation to me at all. That died suddenly at work at 50 years old. Like, just collapsed. Like, suddenly. Random. Totally crazy. So she had to take some time to go be with family while I stayed home with the kids. And yada, 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 right? That's what everybody does. They make excuses. A million excuses. But it is official. My season is over. And so I'm going to do my recap. I'm going to do the 2023 season recap for me. And number one on the list, I finally called it quits. So January 28th of 2024, I called it quits. I don't have time to go out for the rest of the season. I really, truly asked a lot of my wife and family this year, whereas I went to Kansas in September for a long weekend. And I went to Kansas at the end of October, beginning of November for a week. And then I went back to Kansas by myself at the end of December after Christmas time. And I had to travel for work. That's just part of my job. And so when I did that, I would sometimes parlay that into a hunting trip. And so, I did ask a lot of them. And so, with this extended season into January, it didn't make a lot of sense for me to ask too much of other people who had already given me so much. I had a tremendous hunting season this year. I have killed more deer. I have harvested more venison in years past, but my overall 2023 was what I would consider to be an absolute tremendous success. It's at one point in the last couple of years, I decided I wanted to be a mobile hunter and that I wanted to do out-of-state hunting. And I have taken my woodsmanship to the next level. I have stepped outside of my comfort zone, and the comfort zone of anybody that I hunt closely with here in my home state of Michigan. I have encouraged my brother to do the same. I was able to put food in my freezer for my family. I was able to locate, plan for, execute, and harvest the biggest deer I may ever shoot in my entire life this year. And I learned a tremendous amount of information doing that, just that alone. Just the amount of time that I spent alone in those unfamiliar places, reading the woods and the earth and listening and observing other people and, making notes. And I just, overall 2023 was my most successful season as an outdoorsman, period. Even though I only put 2 deer in the freezer this year. It was absolutely my most fantastic season, and one I will never, ever forget. There was a lot of things that did work for me this year. A lot of those I just kind of mentioned previously. I was able to really listen to and digest a lot of information that is shared on podcasts. The In Session podcast with Jake Bush, that Latitude hosts. The Fall podcast with Aaron and Uncle DJ, that they put out so much great information. They're local guys. Not only are they good to just fun to listen to, they put out a lot of great information. The Running and Gunning podcast with Uncle Justin, who I had on here recently. And I was able to listen to all of these people who can really go out there and execute year after year after year, share for free so much great information on the internet. And take that and apply it to my situation and use it to the best of my ability to become a better outdoorsman. And so that for me worked really, really, really well. I invested in myself. I completed the 75 Hard program in the beginning of 2023. Maybe not the beginning. I started in March. So I started in Q1 of 2023 and I completed the program. I dropped 20 pounds. I would suspect that it was exclusively related to the elimination of alcohol entirely from my diet. I was never a big drinker, but it was absolutely a part of my life. And I have not had a drink since March 20th of last year, and I have no intentions of doing so. So I invested heavily in myself, and I dropped 20 pounds, and I was in the best shape of my life going into hunting season last year. And I think that was incredible. I invested in an upgrade to my archery equipment. I bought a better bow, a nicer quality bow, put top of the line strings on it. I bought a nice set of arrows again, and I practiced my dick off all year long. And so again, I invested in myself. I invested in my equipment, and I ensured that when I went into the woods, my shot process, not my mental process, because we'll get into that later, but my shot process was unfallible. It was I executed it correctly each and every time. And so, my brain didn't always cooperate. And so, what didn't work was the dreaded target panic. And I would even go so far as to say that my absolute desire to be able to wrap my hands around a big buck out of state got the best of me this year. And I had a private piece of land down in southern Illinois that I had some really good bucks on. And early in October, I had gone down there. And I also have a problem on the same property with neighbors' dogs. And damn it, if it didn't happen to me down there. And so I had spent a good day and a half hunting and didn't really have a ton of great encounters. I had seen some doe. However, there was some additional sign back on the property that I wanted to hunt over. And the morning before I had to head upstate to work, I set up in the crotch of a 3-tree, of which was in the background of a trail camera that I have, which the deer had been passing through this area. And right at first light, I mean, actually, probably I could hear the deer slowly making his way to me before legal shooting time. And 7 minutes after legal shooting time, he was in front of me and upwind of me, so he had no idea I was there. And I could see the glowing antlers in the dark. I mean, it was, like I said, it was still legal shooting light, but it is obviously very dark in the timber. All the foliage is still on the trees, and I could see his antlers glowing. He was hitting a scrape. I knew that he was going to be the biggest deer I'd ever taken, and I knew that I was going to shoot that deer. And I had actually also made a conscious decision to not even mess with my camera equipment. Like I was set up to record my hunt, but I was so fucking excited to shoot a buck that I lost all sense of, the right and wrong. And so, I never thought about all those things while in that tree that I just stated. I never thought about the fact that the deer was upwind of me. I never thought about the fact that he was probably going to continue to walk right in front of me. I never thought about the fact that I had way more time than I was telling myself I actually had. I let the devil on my shoulder get the best of me. And I decided that I was going to take a very difficult quartering two shot on a deer in very, very poor lighting, such that I couldn't even see the deer through my peep. And I had to actually turn my illuminated pin light down to see better, and I still couldn't see very well. So shamefully, I took a very poor shot on this buck at probably 15 yards. And again, because it was so dark and I was so bloody excited, I made so many poor decisions that I hadn't had an opportunity to range this yet. And I guessed it at 25 yards. And so I put the pin where I thought it needed to be. And he was much closer than I had suspected. And I shoulder shot that mother scratcher. And he took off. There's just the unmistakable crack of a shoulder shot. He took off to my left, headed towards the neighboring property, and I waited a little bit, and I couldn't see my arrow, so I got down to go check, and I eventually found it, and I only had about 2.5 inches of penetration, and so I knew it wasn't good. I did blood trail for a while, but there was just very, very minimal blood. Obviously, he was fine. That deer ended up showing up on camera later, and he's still on camera today. So that deer is completely fine, still holding both sets of antlers. Is probably a really good 135-inch, 8-point, beautiful deer. Probably will be incredible next year. I don't plan to hunt down there next year because of the dog problem. But anyway, that did not work for me. But that was my first real encounter. I came home and was able to shoot a doe here by my house. So I was able to get some venison in the freezer. And then the property that we have down in Hillsdale just did not have the bucks this year sticking around. Now, I made a comment that there wasn't any good bucks down there, and that's not entirely true. The fact of the matter is the bucks were there, like always, before season, and then the good, what I would call shooter bucks. So I would, the reality is they're probably 120, and maybe the biggest one we had was probably a 135, maybe a 148, real tall, real narrow. They sort of vacated the property. Some bucks always do that at this property. Like, we always have a good selection of bucks over the summer, and then certain bucks, just like most properties, will leave and go, fall somewhere else and winter somewhere else. This year, it just so happened that all of the good bucks left. Like, the good, what I would call shooter, but we would consider shooter bucks, all left. And we were left with little dinks. And so it was just really hard for me to get excited about that property down there. And so I spent very little time. I spent opening weekend down there with the boys, and had gone down a couple other times. And I would just randomly go down there. Like, if I had to go work in Illinois, I might sneak down there and do a morning hunt and then get in the truck and finish my drive to Indiana or Illinois for work. And so we had cameras all over the place. Not a lot of good deer, not a lot of good bucks on camera down there. Uncle Adam had shot, I think Uncle Adam ended up shooting like 3 doe down there. I think Uncle Kelton shot a doe down there. I think Uncle Head shot a doe. So we took like 5 or 6 doe off of that property, which I know in the grand scheme of things is not enough, but we did take 5 or 6 doe off of that property. No bucks. Uncle Head ass shot a buck down there, and then gut shot a buck down there, both of which were never recovered. And come spring, I'll go talk to the neighbors, get permission to do some shed hunting, and see if I can't go find them somewhere. I don't think the ass shot deer is dead, but that gut shot buck is probably dead. He was a real big 6. He was a really nice big 6. So hopefully I can find that for him. Obviously the meat is gone, but it'll be at least nice to get the antlers for him. But anyway, I was able to get that doe in Clarkston. Again, I didn't have anything that I was really excited about at the other property, and hopefully those bucks stick around this winter and into spring and summer, and maybe some of them make a home in there again. A couple of years ago, that property had I'd call it 30 acres, 35 acres or so of CRP. And it had always been that for as long as I'd been there. And in the back of the property is all timber. And we never had a real food source. We had sort of the bedding and the pass-through property because on the south and the north of us was food. It was a rotating source of ag. So, they just moved through there and we had to catch them, whatever. That's just how it had always been. And then when the homeowner passed and his agreement with the state and the CRP program expired, the widow's son decided to farm the property, and the first year did beans, and then after the beans were picked, he planted a winter wheat, which then went all through the winter and the summer and the spring, or spring and the summer, and then it was harvested. And then so we didn't really have a food source on the property this fall, which I don't know how much that plays into it. But what I will say is that we did have the food on the north and the south, like always. We had no food options on our property, and we also didn't have that CRP bedding, which I believe those deer historically preferred the CRP bedding option on our property. And now that it is ag, I personally do not believe that the deer view our property as luxurious as they once did. And so I think we're struggling to get a new pattern on these deer. I think they're looking at it a little more differently. I do believe there are neighboring pressures now that were not always there. Nonetheless, that's kind of what's going on there. Hopefully this year there is a food source that is planted. Otherwise, like if he doesn't do anything, because there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, if he doesn't do anything with that particular 30 acres, I may take it upon myself to do something in the field, just for a food source, especially for late season, man. I mean, I got to do something because it was just a really bizarre year, and I would hate to have that incredible option down there and then have 2 bad years in a row. So I'll do whatever it takes to get that. I also, for the love of God, have got to get additional private pieces or different. I got to get some more places to hunt, man. Like it would be so great if I had like 5 or 6 places to hunt here private. And I know that sounds greedy. But that's just how I feel. I mentioned earlier that I went to Kansas a few times, and I know I talked about it on here. I did the early season in Kansas. Knowing what I know now, I probably didn't go far enough in, and that's just kind of how it goes. Hindsight's 2020. We went back in late October, early November. Had an incredible trip. We were in deer every single day. I had a massive deer in front of me the first fucking morning and hit a branch with my bow and scared the son of a gun away. And again, that's going to haunt me forever. And then I went back at the end of December and all the food was gone and I could not get on to any good deer. I could not find any deer. And then I had hunter harassment and I got pissed and I came home early and, whatever. Again, I will probably regret all of that. But, I also didn't do any scouting here on public land in Michigan until my regular season was just about over. And I'm like, I better branch out. And so I found a really cool piece down by where we hunt, where I said we didn't have any good bucks down there in Hillsdale. Found a good public piece. Probably need to spend some more time down there, and I plan on doing that this year. I always hunt these properties around my house, and I never put enough boots. I never put any boots on the fucking ground in the summertime, and so I don't have any idea what I'm doing in the fall or winter when I'm trying to hunt them. So it's my own goddamn fault, but I really struggle in the late season when I don't have any plans. And that is 100% because I'm a procrastinator. I am Northern Oakland County's #1 procrastinator. So if anybody needs help procrastinating, just let me know and I can help you. I'm just the fucking king of it. The one thing that I mentioned worked really well this year was I took a lot of information from podcasts and I really thrust myself into the public land in Illinois. And I did so last year and found great success. And I decided to really couple that with some better access this year, some days worth of scouting. Like over the course of the summer, I probably put in several days worth of boots on the ground, assessing the terrain, the travel corridors, moving cameras, harvesting data, looking at trails, looking at bedding versus food and access and all this stuff. And I was able to target a really mature, a 5.5-year-old gigantic buck. I keep saying that, but I'm so tickled that I was able to get him. I was able to harvest a 162-inch buck this year from Illinois on public land. And that, like I said, that really worked. I was able to put a plan into action. I was able to skedaddle on out through the picked cornfield into the woods, climb up in my saddle, and for like an hour and a half sit, and I was able to shoot this buck from my saddle at 21 yards. And it was just absolutely the hunt of a lifetime. And that half an hour or whatever it was after I was able to track and locate him in the woods in the pitch black by myself, to sit with that deer and just soak it all in. Like the sounds of the woods after dark, just looking at him and how majestic he was, and just thinking about all the sacrifices that I made and that people made for me to be able to do that in my life. And that my commitment to doing something hard and out of my comfort zone and then having it come to fruition was really special. And again, that time spent in the woods with that animal after the harvest was really special and magical. And I hope to be able to do it again. And I'm fairly confident that I'll be able to do it again. Because it was such an amazing experience that I'm trying to chase that again. And I don't fully expect that it'll ever be a buck of that caliber, and it could be and it could not be, but that putting a plan together and being able to execute it and finding success one way or another is a high that's the high that I want to chase. I don't want to get drunk anymore. I don't want to, I used to, relax by eating some edibles or whatever, judge me if you will, but I don't want to chase that. Like, I want to chase that experience, that uncomfortable pushing of your limits and testing everything you have. And that's the high that I want to chase from now on. And I'm going to continue to do it. And so, again, what worked for me, that. And I was able to take my Illinois Giant, and I'll never forget it. And I look at those antlers every day in my basement, and I just cannot. I'm so thankful, and I smile every time I look at them. And, I dropped the hide off of the taxidermist, and I just cannot fucking wait to just look at him every single day for the rest of my life. It's just absolutely unbelievable. I just touched on this a little bit. Why does my extended season never work? It's because I don't ever scout. I don't ever scout for my late season. I scout for my actual season. And so the reality is my extended season is very localized to only a few places. I spend the majority of my time scouting for where am I going to hunt October 1 or September something through 12/31, December 31st. And so that's a mistake. That's a big mistake that I'm going to fix this year. I'm going to spend a lot more time locally, boots on the ground, utilizing cameras, risking them being stolen. It is what it is. But I'm going to put more boots on the ground locally, because I hate that I have this opportunity to hunt later in the year, and I waste it every single time. And it's every year that it's been an option, I've just squandered it away, and I want to stop that. So I mark my words here and now. I proclaim I will be scouting for my extended archery season henceforth. Hopefully they continue to have it as an option now that I'm committing to doing so. So I'm going to do some scouting for my late season. I'm going to do some more scouting for my in-season stuff throughout Michigan as well, and some public land, because I found some cool places this year by really getting nervous that my private piece wasn't going to turn out. So I'm going to scout a lot more stuff this year for my regular season and my extended season. And in my opinion, that is exactly what will work or help me get more options. I'm not saying big bucks. I'm just saying getting on the deer. I also just mentioned to you just a little bit ago that I am the number one. I am Northern Oakland County's number one procrastinator. Always have been. Happens at work. Happens in extracurricular activities. Happens in my physical fitness journey. I'm a procrastinator. And for as long as I've been alive, I've been that way. I was a procrastinator as it related to school. And so I don't foresee it changing. I'm getting better. Because the stress is, that's going to put me into an early grave, man. But because of that, like I said, you find yourself just listening to me ramble today. I have reached out to a half a dozen or more individuals that I would like to have on the podcast. I've got 3 guys that said yes. One guy didn't respond to me. And we're going to get some stuff on the books here. It's just a matter of syncing up schedules. And so I also want to have my brother on to talk about his season, because he's in Florida getting tan. He's got to tan that Duke belly real nice. And when he comes back, we'll get him on here to talk about his season and what worked and what didn't work. And then we'll go from there. Hopefully have 2 or 3 new guests on that I've been trying to talk to for a little while here. And all 3 local guys, local to Michigan guys, and really look forward to chatting with them. I have discussed with another person sort of let me back up a little bit. So for the last couple of years, my brother and I have gone to the Mobile Hunters Roadshow, which is put on by Lone Wolf Custom Gear, and it is a day's worth of activities located in, centrally located within Michigan here for people to come to spend the day, learn, and try new things out and hear stories of successes and tips and tricks and, new gear. And then there's usually these competitions, and there's good food and great people. And it's just an awesome event. The problem that I have with it, there's only one, and they got to spread themselves out. I mean, they're one fantastic company and they got to go other places, but I want to see those guys more. I want to talk with those people more. And I want to share tips and tricks and get real-time consultations with these guys, these people who have done things I haven't done, and vice versa, and share information with people who are new. And I want to do that more. I don't want once a year. I want like once a month or once a quarter or, once every 2 weeks. Maybe once every 2 weeks is too much, but I don't think once a month or once every 2 months is too much. For people to get together, and I don't want it to be expensive, and I want it to be reasonable as it relates to proximity to other people. Like I'm over here on the southeast side of the state, like I'm 45 minutes north of Detroit, but a lot of the guys I talk to are on the complete other side of the state. Like Uncle Matt, who I had on the show, he is like 2.5 hours from me. And there's other people that are over there too. And Michigan Great Outdoors, the Pollock, Jace, he's like an hour from me. And so, everybody's really spread out. And selfishly or unselfishly, I will host a get together at my house in the barn. Selfishly, it's my house, and so I don't have to travel. And so I look at that very differently. Like I don't look at it from the eyes of someone who has to drive 2 hours. And so I guess what I'm getting at is a meet and greet, like a mobile hunter meet and greet, MEAT, because I will cook and we will BBQ. And Uncle Adam of Gene's Salad Fever will provide probably a delicious salad for people. Like I think we could do this. Like I'm happy to host a meet and greet in the Beefcakes barn. And if you want to work out, you can work out. But I want to try to do something like this. I want to get people together. And again, unselfishly, I will organize it. Selfishly, let's host it in my barn for the first time. And if people want to drive a little ways, Uncle Tim lives in Heartland. Tim will come. CUM. He will also arrive. And so other people, I think people would come over. I just don't want to make it at my house and have it be something where people are like, fuck that. Like, if it requires me to find somewhere centrally located in the middle of the state somewhere, I will go through the process of renting something out. But I would like some feedback on if it's something people would like to do. Again, at my house, it's my house. We can get as fucking wild or stay as calm as we want. If we wait, I was thinking as soon as the weather like really breaks. So maybe before green up, but also not too hot, because if we have it in the barn when it's really hot, the flies are a problem. And so if we keep it in spring, so I'm thinking like late April, early May, maybe we can do something. We can shoot our bows at my house. Like there's enough room we can spread out. We can turn the music on with the barn, and we can play pool upstairs in the barn. You can swim in my pool if the pool's open. Like, I don't care. We could, whatever you guys want to do. It's just, I want to get, there's a lot of really great people in this state who I talk to regularly on social media. And I think it'd be really great if we could all get together more often than once a year. And so shame on me if that's a dumb idea, but I think it's a cool idea. And I think a lot of people would like it. And if that's something you're interested in, drop me a line on Instagram. And we can work together, or you can tell me yay or nay, and we will work something out. I will figure it out and put out an invitation and plan the whole fucking thing. You just show up. I don't want any money for it. Just show up and hang out. I just want to build this community up a little bit more. Not necessarily that it needs to be built up, but I want to cultivate a tighter knit community, because a lot of people in this state have great information, and I think sharing it amongst our own selves will only allow the lot of us to just continue to get better. And that doesn't necessarily mean shooting bigger deer. It just means being in the right place at the right time more frequently. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'd really like to put something together like that. So anyway, that's going to be episode 17 for me. I've said all I have to say. 2023 was a great season for me. I got some videos that I'll try to piece together and put out. I didn't get my big buck kill on camera, and I am totally fucking okay with that. But I do sort of wish I had it on camera because I would watch it over and over and over and over and over again. So anyway, whatever. It is what it is. Thanks everybody for listening, and I appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.